So today I'm going to do a video on how to deal with criticism when you get bad feedback from a client. Maybe they're disappointed in the work or you missed an important shot. I decided to do this video because someone posted recently on my channel about this, and I really believe in getting back to everyone and giving thorough and thoughtful responses. And sometimes I don't have time to really, I enjoy typing, but I don't have the time to really type it out. I thought I would just make a video, and that way I can be a little bit more free in how I can discuss it. So this is bound to happen, first of all. If you're just starting out, I'm gonna prepare you right now. You will get a complaint at some point. Sometimes it might be valid. Quite often it's not going to be. I have not had many of them, but I've had them. Of course I've had them. We're all going to get them. Because at some point you're going to work for someone who's a nightmare, who's just in their own world and will complain to you about something not in your control. They'll complain to you about the rain. You know, you never know. And so we have to be prepared. And I'm going to talk about how to manage the complaint. But first, let's get through like the whole process. So number one, I think it's really important that you manage expectations when you're booking someone, or when they're booking you. This is what I offer. Be very clear. Have a contract, etc. Make sure they're hiring. They don't have the wrong expectations. I like using weddings as an example, even though I don't really shoot them. But you don't want someone to hire you if you're the candid kind of fly-on-the-wall photographer, but they want a lot of posed portraits, and maybe that's just something you don't do. That's also on the client for not doing their due diligence, because they should be looking at your portfolio and looking at sample work so they know exactly what they're going to get from you. But ultimately, it's going to be on you if they're not happy, right? You're going to be the one that's going to be complained to. So first, yes, manage expectations. Make sure they understand what you do, what your specialties are, how you cover an event, etc. Number two, you need to build confidence in yourself. And I know how hard it is. This is going to be very easier said than done, right? So what we can do, so I can give you something actionable, is we can talk about what builds your confidence. How can you develop confidence? And I think it's a two-part answer. One, when it comes to photography, I've said it a million times, you need to understand the technical side of the craft at a deep level. You don't do this so that you can be very rigid and have very technical, soulless images. You do this so that when you have a vision, you're able to easily execute it. You do this so when you walk into a room like that, you know exactly where the best light is, what direction to shoot in, etc., etc. With experience and this technical knowledge, you're going to start to feel very confident, like no matter what, you know what to do. I get a lot of very specific questions about things like low light photography. People seem to be very out of their element depending on the type of job they're shooting. And I get that. And I don't have that for two reasons. One, I've been around the block long enough that I've shot in almost every situation. And two, I'm not memorizing techniques at all. I'm understanding how light works, and because I've worked in so many venues, I'm able to quickly react. And on the fly, I'm able to adapt and come up with different techniques, try bouncing my flash in different ways, or use external flash in different ways. You basically get to a point where you don't have set tools. You have like a tool, or like you don't have a set technique, but you have a toolbox at your disposal, and you can kind of improvise with the tools you have. So, sorry, my camera died. I pride myself on doing these in one take, but it's not going to be one take. So once you really develop the skill set and the know-how, you're going to get this confidence where no matter what the variables are, you will know the best solution to the problem. Now, what I said was the best solution to the problem, not the perfect solution, not the dream solution. You can't make it unrain, right? So the next part of that is developing some stoicism. And stoicism is about accepting reality, accepting what is, and then saying to yourself, how can I use it? And when you adopt that philosophy, and I would really recommend looking more into it, it's too far out of the scope of the video. When you adopt that philosophy, you basically understand you have stuff you're in control of and you have stuff you're not in control of. And you cannot control the skill set you're bringing into a job. All you have is the skills you have at this moment and the variables of the job, and you make do with what you have. Why am I talking about all this when we're really talking about external criticism? The reason is we are our worst critics, and what's happening is when a client criticizes you, it's going to amplify all your own criticisms of yourself that we all carry. So when you have this comfort and someone complains to you and it wasn't really your fault and you know you did the best you could with the variables offered, it's easier to be a little detached and let it slide, and you can explain that to them. If you have someone that's pushing it, you can say exactly, because you're a technical photographer after all, exactly why you made the decisions you made. As far as complaints go, I can think of three complaints in my whole career. One, I was starting out and the lights were super tungsten. They don't really light venues this way anymore. And the client did say it's too orange. And at that point, I probably didn't know how to properly balance my lights, if I'm honest. It was my first year. I was just dragging my shutter to allow the right amount of ambient light, but I was not, there's ways to deal with it, and I didn't deal with it. And I guess I probably could have reduced it in post. I don't recall what we ended up doing. The next one, also early-ish career, I was shooting a wedding, and the second shooter I hired, I think, missed a few formals that they needed to get. Now, it wasn't fully her fault. Most weddings are very well run, in my opinion, that I've shot. But this one wasn't. They even changed the ceremony location at the venue, like within 5 minutes. I think maybe it was gonna rain. I don't remember. They immediately changed it and set it up inside. It was a very unorganized wedding. My second shooter missed it, but what do? I got the criticism, and initially when you get criticism, you're like, damn, like you feel awful. And you probably punish yourself harder than your client's going to because you take pride in your work. In this case, I waited like a day and I said, I'm really sorry. I really do wish we were able to get those shots for you. It's just all you have to do. After you remove yourself from it, ultimately that's all you can do. Now the third time I've had an issue was really with someone not operating in the same realm of reality. Someone who I think had a personality disorder, who was beyond unreasonable, who was demanding things that I explicitly did not provide in writing. Like in writing, I said exactly what I was going to provide, and then she demanded I provide all these other things. I'm like, what? Like, that's not what you hired me for. I can't edit a video for you for free, like that kind of thing. It was really off base. And with those, you have to just stand your ground. Now, last thing, the specific question I think was at the person who commented mentioned that the client felt they did not get enough photos of a specific vendor. And to really address that question, I would have to see the body of work. A lot of times it's a perception issue where the client perceives there to not be as many photos of themselves or of something. But if you count the shots, the reality is that there are as many or more. Like one of the criticisms when I wouldn't cave for that last job I told you guys about, when I said, I'm sorry, but this is all in writing. I cannot provide you with this video you're asking me for. She then resorted to two things. She attacked me as a person, my appearance. She said I wasn't smiling enough. And two, she claimed I photographed more photos of her friend than her. So I counted them up. It wasn't true. Her and her friend had some rivalry. I'm not gonna get into it, but she was jealous of the friend who I did have a decent amount of shots of her, but that's because she changed her wardrobe to these extravagant costumes at her friend's birthday party. She had a wardrobe change every hour for her friend's birthday party and made a big scene. As a photographer, I'm focusing on VIPs, and then on top of that, I'm just trying to document the energy. And the photographer should go to where the energy is. If someone's making a big scene at the party and like doing a big whole thing with their costumes, you gotta photograph it. Anyway, so I don't know if this was helpful. I hope it was, but I would have to see the whole job to really assess. But keep in mind, all you can do is control your own self. You can't control people and their criticisms. And once you remove yourself from it, if you feel you did all you could, you managed expectations, you have to just politely say, I'm sorry that you feel that way. Don't say it that way because that seems condescending, but I do wish I was able to get those photographs you wanted. I did my best to cover your event thoroughly, etc. Don't get defensive. You have to just move on for your own sake. Trust me, for your own sake, just move on. All right, thanks for watching.